life was actually a little bit challenging in that, I was afraid to go to school, bad stomach, didn't want to tell my parents because I was embarrassed I was being picked on, and it wasn't a good time. On top of that, my parents were poor. So here I was, I already had feet issues, and now I'm wearing, I don't know if anybody has heard of these before, but they were Excalibur running shoes. Yeah. They're like, at the time I believe it was Woolworth, but anyway, it was like Walmart, like the cheapest shoes you could possibly buy, so cheap that everybody, as soon as they saw you, would know how bad they were. That's how bad it was. And so it was just a miserable time at school. But I have to tell you that even living in a poor family and bullied every single day, I was happy. I was absolutely a happy kid. I enjoyed spending time with my family. I enjoyed spending time in nature. I really enjoyed life. I forgave the people that were picking on me. Even at the time, I could see that they were probably going through something more difficult than I was. And that was okay, because I was okay. I was happy. So then I got a little bit older, and then I realized that maybe I shouldn't be happy. Because to be happy, you have to make money, and you have to have things, and you have to be, known, and you have to have a good job, and you have to have an education. And I was like, oh God, what am I doing wrong? Like, this isn't happiness. Maybe I need to do something else to find happiness. And growing up in a poor family, all you hear about is money. Money issues, money challenges. We were so poor that my grandparents would come and sneak some groceries in the door because my parents were too proud to ask. And out of all of that, I decided that I needed to do something else to find happiness. And so I went to university. So I got to university. And I was like, this is my first step towards happiness, is I'm going to get an education, because that's what makes you happy. And while I was there, I realized, just by meeting new people and actually having friends, that you have to drink to be happy, right? And girls make you happy. So I was like, yeah, that's what I need. I need to drink and I need to party, and that's what's going to make me happy. It's not the schooling part. That's not what the people around me are telling me. They're telling me to be happy. This is what I need. Unfortunately, when you start off from a poor family, you end up on full student loans going to university. And after my second year, I ran out of money. So I couldn't go back, so I had to figure out what to do. And I still wanted to be happy. So I looked to a fellow student who was in the military. And the military was paying for people to go to the university. I was like, yes, I want that. Like, I have no idea about the military. Don't know if I would have any interest at all, no patriotism when it comes to the military. I just wanted somebody to pay for my university so I could be university educated, and then I'd be happy. And so I signed up. And while I was in my interview, they said, okay, what if we offered you the Royal Military College? And I said, no, don't want to go there. I want to go back to Acadia and Wolfville, Nova Scotia. I want to go back there, and I want to continue hanging out with my friends partying, and I want you to pay me to do that. And they said, well, what if your only option was to do this? I said, well, if my only option were to go to RMC, I would go, because I had to get that university education. And so they checked in the box, off I went to RMC. So I spent 4 more years in university, once again, struggling to find this thing called happiness. And what's great about the military is they tell you what happiness is. They're like, here's your happiness. Like, issued at the door. Here's your boots, here's your happiness. Your happiness is you're going to put the service before yourself in every situation. You're going to seek out promotions because they're good, because it means money and more responsibility, and that's a good thing. You're going to go on taskings, and you're going to be deployed and do all these crazy things because that's what's going to make you happy as a member of the military. And I was like, okay, I want happiness, right? So here I am. So in the 16 years I was in the military, I went to Afghanistan 3 times, Kuwait 3 times, Germany, Poland, Ukraine, all doing things to make me happy. And I gotta tell you, I wasn't overly happy. The more I did this, so I was with a woman, we were married, we were together for 8 years. That ended after my first tour in Afghanistan. I was with another girl for 2 years, and I went to Afghanistan the second time, and she cheated on me, got pregnant, it was a big mess. I got back, I met a new girl, she ended up being like an absolute crazy person. And so my life outside of that military part was falling apart. But as long as I was doing what I needed to do to be happy in the military, then I should have been happy. But it didn't work out that way. And the problem is, in that whole process, through my teenage years, through university, through 16 years in the Army, I absolutely 100% lost who I was. And it wasn't until one day, I was making about $130,000 a year, which is more than my parents could ever imagine making when I was a kid. And, I had a new wife who was an amazing woman, not the crazy one, but an amazing woman. And I was supposed to be happy. I had the money, I was in Toronto, I had friends, I had the wife, but I wasn't happy. And one day I decided that I had enough of this. I had enough of this struggle, this fight to try to find happiness. And I walked out on my balcony and I stood there looking down. And I was 15 floors up. And I gotta tell you, as I looked down and wondered whether or not I should jump, the only thing that kept me from jumping was the fact that I was worried I was gonna mangle myself on the way down and not die. So I didn't want to be answering to all of the family and friends and everybody that would show concern for me if something didn't happen to me. And so I took a step back, and it was that moment that kind of my life changed. I decided that I didn't want to die, that I wanted to make a change. And so I sought out mental health, and I got a counselor, started working through some things, ended up being diagnosed with an operational stress injury. So unlike PTSD, which is usually related to one event, an operational stress injury it happens a lot to military and emergency services. Because you're in such a high stress, high pace environment for so long, your body and mind just kind of gives up on you. It says, we're done, we need to take a break. And it forces you to take that break. So I did. And I went on a bit of a retreat on my own for a week at a horse ranch. And I read books about happiness and purpose. And here I am, I feel like a giant failure because I wasn't able to continue in that career with that money and all the things that were supposed to make me happy. And I was on a horse ranch reading all these stories about happiness and purpose. And it was that moment that I realized, and it's been months and months and months in the building, that if I look back at who I was when I first started out, I was being bullied and picked on, I was poor, and I was happy. That was the happiness. The happiness came from in here. It had nothing to do with the people around me. It had nothing to do with anything in the outside world. It all was in here. And as long as I was seeking it out there, I would never find it. And I didn't. Until I got to the point where in here gave up. And I stood on that balcony. And so I'll go back and just kind of re-emphasize that point. My first tour in Afghanistan, here I was in the middle of the desert, and pretty much every day something would blow up that would shake the building and the dust would fall down. We would be attacked fairly regularly. I was in helicopters, were shot at by anti-aircraft guns, and it was a pretty scary place. And the people, the local population, had literally nothing. I thought I had nothing when I was a kid, but they had literally nothing. And one day I was watching a 12-year-old lift a 5-year-old into a dumpster to pick out garbage, because I lived on a little tiny camp, and there was a district chief of police there, Afghan, and he invited the children from the local village to come up and clean up around the camp. And when I saw the look on the face of these 5 and 12-year-olds as they picked this garbage out, it just tore me to pieces, because they were happier than probably any kid I had seen in my entire life here in Canada. They were happy with that little bottle or that little piece of paper that they would be able to bring back to their families. And so that shook me up, because once again, I'm like, that's happiness. It has nothing to do with the outside world. It's what they make of it. And so something that I kind of took away from all of these experiences through my life and through witnessing and learning about their life is that it's important to be yourself and be in every moment, to find balance in your life, because I had no balance. I was trying to focus on this happiness and I wasn't able to get that balance. The next is to dream. So have a big dream for yourself and go for it. Don't hold back, because you only have this one life to reach that. And that's what's going to bring you happiness. And then finally, If something's not serving you in your life, whether it's a person or it's your stuff, whatever it is that's not serving you and bringing you happiness or joy, get rid of it. Thank you.